Have you ever found yourself thirsty, looking for a public water fountain, only to realize there is no fountain in sight? You may relate to that feeling. Public water fountains are barely noticeable until they are not there.
While data on this topic is scarce, one cannot help but notice that public water fountains are becoming increasingly rare in many cities.
There are certainly fewer than they used to be. They've become an anachronism, or even a liability.
Says Peter Clegg, a water scholar. In London, in 1879, there were around 800 public fountains. In 2017, it was estimated that only 111 fountains existed in the city. During this time, the population of London has almost tripled. This decline has coincided with the massive growth of the bottled water market, which has reached a global value of $243 billion in 2024. That's similar to the GDP of Portugal.
It's hard to find public fountains, but easy to buy soft drinks or bottled water.
Sales of bottled water now exceeded sales of soft drinks.
Notes Salzman, author of the book Drinking Water: A History.
Many people now pay for single-use plastic bottles instead of using a technology that's been around for centuries.
In the 70s and 80s, companies began aggressively marketing bottled water, benefiting from public worries about water pollution.
Avion, with its unique balance of minerals. Pure Avion spring water from the French Alps.
They depicted bottled water as a safer option, even though in reality tap water is subject to more stringent controls.
However, water fountains are not only about convenience, they represent a public good. As Clegg notes in his book, the idea of public drinking fountains dates back to ancient Greece, when fountains were placed in temples and were dedicated to the gods. Pausanias, a Greek traveler and geographer, went so far as to write that no place deserved to be called a city if it didn't have a public drinking fountain.
Without a doubt, as cities developed and municipal water quality improved, public water fountains were a sign of both social progress and equity. Everyone had access to the same quality of water.
Explains Clegg in his book.
By providing free water in a public space, public fountains also prevent the use of single-use plastic bottles and their impacts. But it may also be better for health.
There is research that indicates that limited access to public water fountains is associated with increased consumption of sugary drinks. In schools, water dispensers reduce childhood obesity. This is probably not a surprise. For instance, in the late 19th century, businessman Simon Benson installed 20 public drinking fountains in his factory in Portland, Oregon,
so that his employees will have an alternative to alcoholic drinks.
However, from Rome's old Nasones to Switzerland's tradition of free drinking fountains, water fountains have not disappeared. For instance, you don't have to spend much time in Switzerland before you notice them. In every town and every city, from Zurich to Geneva, you will find them. Brunnen, water fountains. It's quite surprising the degree to which the cities themselves promote these fountains as a source of local pride. The water comes directly from the Alps, so it's extremely high quality, it's obviously free, and can be found pretty much in every corner. And that ubiquity is what makes them extremely useful. You know that wherever you are likely to find a fountain if you need it. Fountains are part of Switzerland's history. Bern, which calls itself the City of Fountains, boasts over 200 of them, including several from the 16th century. The most famous might be the Child Eater Fountain, literally an ogre eating babies. There's a very nerdy, very old website in which you can find a list of all the fountains of the city and their history and characteristics. In Zurich, the obsession with fountains is such that you can literally take 10 tours covering the 1,224 fountains scattered throughout the city, including the Amazon fountain from the 15th century. It's a fountain from the Middle Ages, and it's still there. In Italy, there is also a tradition of beautiful water fountains where you can fill up a bottle or drink directly. In Rome, you have the old Nasoni, or big noses. The Nasoni date back from the late 19th century, are made of cast iron and are about 120 centimeters high. The water they provide is very fresh, and they are completely free, of course.
When the summer first dries up our palate, after a walk in the sun, nothing gives us more satisfaction than bending forwards on a humble Roman fountain to feel the freshness spring in our throat.
Wrote Marco Lodoli in his book easily. There are about 200 Nasoni in the historic center, and about 2,500 in the whole city. But in line with what I explained in the beginning of the video, the number has dwindled over time. At the peak of their popularity, there were approximately 5,000 Nasoni. Yet, the city is again innovating by creating the new houses of water, where you can even choose between normal or sparkling water and recharge your phone. They calculate that this way they can avoid almost 2,000 tons of plastic waste. This is important because, especially in places where it gets so hot in summer, it's important that people find a place where they can get hydrated without having to pay for it. In 2007, when the University of Central Florida built a new stadium, the facility didn't have any drinking fountains at all. Instead, the only option for fans was to buy bottles from vendors. After complaints and a game in which vendors ran out of bottled water, the university changed course and installed, finally, 50 drinking fountains. This is a good example of the fact that access to free water is becoming a bit of a social movement. The refill movement started in Bristol, England in 2015 and has now expanded to other countries such as Ireland or Germany. In the UK, the scheme is now nationwide and comprises more than 10,000 refill stations, including a network of shops, restaurants and cafes that provide free water refills if you bring your own bottle. In Ireland, Refill maps free drinking water sources in the country and raises awareness on the impacts of single-use plastics. But beyond free water in cafes and restaurants, fountains are also having a little comeback thanks to the refill movement. Two examples are London and Berlin. In London, the mayor recently approved new public drinking fountains with the support of the Refill campaign group. This was framed as an effort to reduce plastic waste, but it's obviously also more convenient for citizens. More than 100 new water fountains are expected across the city. In Berlin, new refill stations are being installed across the city. The water is free, obviously, and the quality is carefully monitored. And you guessed it, Refill Berlin had a huge role in promoting this initiative.
There has also been a small improvement in a few places, such as airports, where new fountains and new types of fountains have made inroads, especially fountains capable of filling reusable water bottles that have become more popular,
says Clegg. A market study from 2018 predicted slow but continued growth in purchases of fountains over the next few years and portrayed bottle filling stations as the dominant factors. Many of these new refilling stations now include features such as advanced filters and antimicrobial components. So the misleading claim that tap water isn't safe is now unjustified.
As fountains slowly return to our cities, it is a good reminder of the humble yet very important value of this public service.
The refill movement and similar initiatives show that social pressure can make a big difference.
It's a good moment to support them and ensure fountains don't disappear altogether.
So, next time you drink from a humble water fountain, take a moment to appreciate it. You're enjoying a public service that might not always be there.